There's strange things done in the midnight sun by the men that moil for gold. The Arctic trails all have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was a night on the marge of Lake LaBarge, when I cremated Sam McGee. Now, Sam McGee was from Tennessee, where the cotton blooms and blows, and why he left his home in the south to roam around the pole, God only knows. 'Cause he hated the cold. But the land of gold seemed to hold him in its spell, and I oft heard him say in his homely way, I'd sooner live in hell. Well, one Christmas day we were mushing our way along the Dawson Trail. God, it was cold. Through the pockets full, the wind felt like a driven nail. If your eyes they closed, the lashes they froze, and then you couldn't see. It wasn't much fun, but the only one to whimper was Sam McGee. Well, that very night we were wrapped up tight on the ropes beneath the snow, and the dogs were all fed, and the stars overhead were dancing heel and toe when he looked at me. Cap, says he, I'll cash in this trip, I guess. But if I do, I'm asking you not to refuse my last request. Well, he looked so low, I couldn't say no. And then he says with a sort of a moan, it's the cursed cold. It's got right hold till I'm chilled clear through the bone. But it ain't being dead that fills me with dread. It's the icy grave that pains, so I want you to swear that foul affair you'll cremate my last remains. Well, a pal's last need is a thing to heed, and I swore I would not fail. We mushed on at the crack of dawn, but God, he was ghastly pale. He crouched on the sleigh and he raved all day about his home in Tennessee. But by nightfall, a corpse was all that was left of Sam McGee. Well, there wasn't a breath in that land of death, and I hurried on, horror-driven, with a corpse half hid that I couldn't get rid because of a promise given. It was lashed to the sleigh, and it seemed to say, you may tax your brawn and your brains, but you promised true, and it's up to you to cremate my last remains. Well, a promise made is a debt unpaid. And the trail has its own stern code. In the days to come, though my lips went dumb, in my heart I cursed that load. In the long, long nights by the lone firelight, while the huskies frowned in a ring, howled out their woes to the homeless snow. God, I loathe that thing. Well, every day that quiet clay seemed to heavier and heavier grow. I mushed on with the dogs were spent, the grub was getting low. The trail was bad, I felt half mad, but I swore I'd not give in. And I often sang to the hateful thing, and it hearkened with a grin. Till we came to the marge of Lake LaBarge, and a derelict there lay, and it was jammed in the ice, and I saw in a trace it was called the Alice May. Well, I looked at it, and I thought a bit, then I looked at my frozen chum, and here, said I, with a sudden cry, is my crematorium. Some planks I tore from the cabin floor, and I lit the boiler fire. Some coal I found that was lying around, and I heaped the fuel higher. Well, the flame soared and the furnace roared, such a flame you seldom see, and I buried a hole in the glowing coals, and I stuffed in Sam McGee. Well, I took a hike, 'cause I didn't like to hear him sizzle so. And the huskies howled, and the heavens scowled, and the wind began to blow. And the hot sweat rolled down my cheeks, and I don't know why. And the greasy smoke in an ink cloak went streaking down the sky. Well, I don't know how long in the snow I wrestled with the grisly fear, but the stars came out and they danced about before again I ventured near. I was filled with dread, but I bravely said, hey, I'll just take a peep inside. I guess he's cooked, and this time I looked in the door, I opened wide. And there sat Sam, looking calm and cool in the middle of the furnace raw. And he wore a smile, you could see a mile, and he said, "Hey, close that door. It's warm in here, and I greatly fear you'll let in the cold and the storm. Since I left Peachtree down in Tennessee, this is the first time I've been warm." There are strange things done in the midnight sun. By the men that moil for gold. The Arctic trails all have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was the night on the marge of Lake LaBarge when I cremated Sam McGee. That's for my father, Sam Mortimer, who memorized that poem back in 1945 or 46 on the USS Augusta, President Truman's flagship, when he was on the ship when they took him over to the Potsdam Conference. It's for him and my grandson, James Hudson Mortimer, two exceptional guys, two